Hello all, and welcome back to Time to Dice Character Creation, where we make your favorite fictional characters in Pathfinder 2nd Edition. This week, we're bringing the opulence and cunning of Mel Medarda to Pathfinder. Born to the ruthless Noxan warlord Ambessa, Mel was raised amidst the cold calculus of conquest and warfare. But where her mother saw power in the sword, Mel saw potential in diplomacy. Her distaste for bloodshed put her at odds with her family, and eventually she was exiled to Piltover to manage the Medarda family interests. There, her silver tongue and sharp mind quickly earned her a coveted seat on the Piltover's council. And when tensions between the city and the Undercity began to boil over, Mel and her mother found themselves on opposite sides of the impending war. It was in this crucible of conflict that Mel's long-dormant magical abilities began to stir. So beware of spoilers, and without further ado, let's get started. So what do we need to make the Soul's Reflection? Mel's passive is Searing Brilliance, which allows her to mark her enemies with her attacks, to make each of her following attacks deal even more damage. But Mel's magic isn't all about offenses. Her Eldritch Prowess allows her to conjure shimmering shields to protect herself and allies, and when the moment calls for it, she can even reflect incoming attacks right back at their sender. There's nothing more satisfying than turning an enemy's aggression into their downfall. And of course, when diplomacy fails and the board's flooded with foes, it's time to unleash the full force of her magic. Not just a surgical strike, but a sweeping display of power that removes every threat in one elegant, explosive move. Mel is a human, which gives her a medium frame, 8 starting hit points, and a standard 25-foot strut. For our attribute boost, we're putting it into Charisma and Constitution to survive cutthroat politics as well as cutthroat combat. We'll also be picking the Skilled Human Heritage to pick up Training and Deception, which upgrades to Expertise at level 5. What can I say? She's a politician. Lying is basically a class feature. For our background, we'll be taking Foreign Diplomat, giving us even more of what Mel thrives on, a boost to Charisma and Intelligence, along with training in diplomacy and heraldry lore. Avoiding conflict is what put Mel at odds with her war-hungry family in the first place. And to help guide conversations, we'll pick up the Group Impression skill feat from this background, perfect for molding the council, or any other group of NPCs, to our will, one persuasive word at a time. When it comes to Mel's class, your first instinct might be Sorcerer. Innate magic, charismatic flair, you get the idea. But actually, we're taking a more unexpected route. We're going to go with Ranger, specifically the Vindicator Ranger. I know it doesn't sound like a match made in heaven, but trust us, we've been at this for a while. As a ranger, Mel gets expert proficiency in perception, letting her spot every weakness, inconsistency, and crack in her enemy's facade. She also has expert proficiency in fortitude and reflex saves, thanks to a lifetime of rigorous Noxan training. Most spellcasters get expertise and will saves, but Mel's magical talents have only just awakened, so she's still working on that whole inner calm thing. All Vindicators get training in religion and survival, but we'll be customizing Mel's skills to reflect both her courtly graces and combat readiness. So we're going to pick up Arcana for her magical insight, Acrobatics and Athletics for that warrior's edge, Intimidation because you do not want to be on the wrong side of a Medarda, Performance to deliver killer speeches, and Society so she never forgets a council member's birthday. Her Noxan upbringing gives her training in all simple and martial weapons, plus one weapon tied to her favorite deity's chosen armament. Now, I'm not exactly sure what Mel would pledge herself to, so feel free to pick up any advanced weapon for a bonus proficiency, or a simple weapon for a bump in damage. And yes, we can wear up to medium armor, but Mel would rather be decked in something gold, flowing, and custom tailored. For our starting attributes, we're putting a +1 into Strength, Dexterity, and Constitution, because you don't survive childhood as a daughter of a Noxan warlord without being tougher, faster, and stronger than your average full-grown soldier. Intelligence will be at a +2, because Mel makes it her business to know everything in Piltover, preferably before anyone else does. Wisdom is at a +1. If you're going to manipulate the movers and the shakers, you've got to be sharp enough to know when someone's trying to play you. And of course, Charisma leads the pack at a +3. Whether you chalk it up to her innate magic or razor-sharp political instincts, this is Mel's signature stat. After all, true power lies in making people want to follow you. Normally, we'd start by choosing a subclass at level 1, but as a Vindicator Ranger, that decision's pretty much made for us. The Vindication Edge comes packed with benefits. All of our spell attacks against our hunted prey are empowered with a +1 status bonus, and foes' defenses against those spells take a -1 penalty. To capitalize on this bonus, we get the Vindicator's Mark Focus spell, which lets us make a spell attack against our hunted prey for 2d4 spirit damage, marking them in the process. While they're marked, all of our strikes deal +2 extra damage, and we can end the spell after hitting with a weapon or unarmed strike to do an additional 2d6 spirit damage. It's a perfect fit for Mel's Overwhelm ability. But before we can unleash that power, we've got to mark the target in the first place, and to do that, we get the Hunt Prey feature. This lets us designate a creature that we can see or are currently tracking, granting a +2 bonus to future checks to seek or track them, in addition to all the other abilities that we get from Vindicator. For feats, we'll pick up Courteous Comeback as our Ancestry feat, letting us re-roll any critically failed diplomacy check. Mel's reputation is too pristine to be tarnished by a social stumble. And from the divine side of things, we're going to pick up Domain Initiate. This feat lets us pick up Magic Vessel from the Magic Domain. This spell wraps an ally in protective energy, granting them a +1 status bonus on saving throws, and when we cast a spell from our spell slots, it sustains itself for free, as well as giving that ally resistance to spell damage equal to the spell's rank. It's an excellent defensive tool, or at least it would be if we had any spell slots to use it with. I wonder if that'll change by the end of this build. At level 2, we're locked into the Vindicator Dedication feat, which gives us a flavorful little perk. We can use Religion instead of the needed skill for actions like Coerce, Gather Information, Make Impression, or Make a Request, as long as we're in a city where our family name is respected. I'm choosing to interpret our family as our deity in this case, if that wasn't made clear. We're also grabbing the Charming Liar skill feat, because what's a politician's best weapon? A smile, a silver tongue, and the ability to make you thank them after they've lied to your face. At level 3, we get Incredible Initiative, which grants us a +2 bonus on all initiative rolls. This lets Mel jump into the fray quickly, ready to talk down a conflict before it begins, or if that's not possible, at least protect our allies from the fallout. We also get Will Expertise, which boosts our will save proficiency to Expert, helping to ensure that Mel won't be swayed by anyone's intimidation tactics, not even her mother's, which are particularly forceful. At level 4, we gain Instructive Strike, allowing us to strike and observe how our opponent reacts. On a hit, we can immediately make a Recall Knowledge check against the target of our strike, and on a critical hit, we gain a +2 bonus to that check. While violence may not be Mel's first choice, figuring out what makes our opponents tick definitely is. We also pick up the Courtly Graces skill feat, which is perfect for a politician who needs to fit into nobility. This lets Mel use her society skill to impersonate nobility, making her just as comfortable in a royal court as she is standing in a council meeting or in a room full of enemies. At level 5, we gain Clever Improviser, allowing Mel to hold her own in any situation, even when she hasn't received formal training. This lets her add half her level, and eventually her full level, to any check that she's untrained in. After all, in politics, you don't always get a manual for handling every situation. It's about thinking on your feet. We also get Ranger's Weapon Expertise at this level, which increases all of our weapon proficiencies to Expert. This not only makes Well more lethal force in combat, but it also allows her to apply her critical specialization effects on any of her attacks against her hunted prey, because when she targets someone, she's aiming to leave an impression, or, a crater. Finally, Trackless Step lets Mel move through urban terrain without leaving a trace. Whether she's sneaking around Piltover's high society or slipping through the back alleys of Zon, no one will know where she's been or where she's going. At level 6, we unlock Mel's innate magic with the Sorcerer Dedication. While the show hasn't provided a clear origin for Mel's magical abilities just yet, we've been working hard on buffing our divine spells, so we'll keep that trend going by choosing the Angelic Bloodline to tap into her celestial magic. After all, Mel's no stranger to the higher echelons of power. As a result, we gain 2 cantrips from the divine spell list. We'll pick up Shield and Forbidding Ward here, since Mel's magic mostly is centered around defense. However, if you're feeling a bit more aggressive, you can swap one of these out for Divine Lance for a more offensive application. We'll wrap this level up with Bon Mot, because what's a politician without the perfect insult? This feat allows Mel to throw particularly cutting one-liners that linger in her opponent's mind. For the next minute, or until they can respond with a comeback of their own, they take a penalty to all perception and will saves, as they're too busy brooding over our verbal takedown to notice the conflict around them. At level 7, we gain the Toughness feat, which grants us additional hit points equal to our level and reduces all of our recovery checks by 1 step. Mel's had a tough life. Growing up with a mother like Ambessa certainly didn't come with a silver spoon. You can bet she's taken her fair share of punches along the way. We also gain Natural Reflexes, which boost our reflex saves to Master. This means all successful reflex saves are now critical successes, making Mel a master at dodging the worst of incoming chaos. At the same time, we gain Perception Mastery, increasing our perception proficiency to Master, making Mel even more perceptive, always ready to spot weaknesses or opportunities no matter where she is. Finally, we unlock Weapon Specialization, which increases the damage of all of our weapons and unarmed strikes. And when we eventually hit Master Strike Proficiency, this will increase to a +3 extra damage. At level 8, we gain Disrupt Opposed Magic, allowing us to make a strike against any creature attempting to cast a spell within our reach. If we critically succeed on that strike, we disrupt the spellcasting action, ensuring Mel's Nox and training can handle even the most troublesome spellcasters. We also pick up the Streetwise skill feat, letting us use our society skill to gather information more effectively. Instead of wasting time talking to people, Mel can simply know the facts, saving herself the energy of digging for what she needs. At level 9, we gain the Adapted Cantrip feat, which lets us choose a cantrip from a list other than Divine. We've already picked our cantrips, and we're mostly taking this as a prerequisite for a future feat, but I guess now your shield spell came from the occult spell list. What's more immediately useful, however, is Nature's Edge, which makes all foes standing in difficult terrain off guard to us. With Mel's strategic mind, she can quickly turn the battlefield to her favor, taking advantage of any terrain to keep our enemies off balance. We also unlock Ranger's Weapon Expertise at this level, which increases our class DC and spell DC to Expert. This makes Vindicator's Mark even more accurate, because what good are amazing magical powers if we can't hit the broadside of a barn? And we'll get even more of that amazing magical power at level 10 with the basic Sorcerer Spellcasting, giving us a spell of rank 1, 2, and 3. We'll revisit this rank 1 spell later, but for our rank 2 spell, we're going to pick up Inner Radiance Torrent, because sometimes you just need to start blasting. With this spell, we can spend 2 actions to blast everyone within a 60-foot line, or if we really want to make a spectacle of it, we can spend 3 actions to double the range, or spend 2 full rounds charging up to double both the range and the damage, while lighting up our tattoos, making anyone who stands next to us for the next minute take 1 force damage. We also grab Holy Light for our rank 3 spell, which targets a creature within 120 feet to deal fire and spirit damage, also counteracting any magical darkness that the beam passes through on its way. Mel can turn even the darkest situations into a dazzling display of power. But don't be fooled, super cool magical powers aren't the only thing we get at this level. We'll also pick up the Glad Hand skill feat, letting us skip the small talk and make a request with just a firm handshake. And if that diplomacy check fails, well, maybe it's time for a little bit of small talk after all. At level 11, we gain Biographical Eye, allowing us to gain insights into someone's life by just observing them from their outward appearance. And if we manage to engage in conversation during this time, we gain a +1 bonus to our society check to learn some things about their profession or day-to-day life. We also get Warden's Endurance, increasing our Fortitude saves to Master, while increasing all successful Fortitude saves to critical successes. With Mel's newfound resilience, she's not just surviving, she's thriving in the heat of battle. Unimpeded Journey lets us ignore difficult terrain and treat greater difficult terrain as regular difficult terrain. And lastly, Medium Armor Expertise boosts our armor proficiency to Expert, solidifying Mel's ability to stay in the fight longer so she can support her allies. At level 12, we gain the Vindicator's Judgment feat, giving us a spell of the same name. Now, we can mark our hunted prey with Divine Judgment. This causes the target to gain weakness to both our strikes and our divine spells. Essentially, this is just another way to mark our foes so that all of our future attacks do even more damage. We also pick up the Shameless Request skill feat, enabling us to make absurd requests and present them as perfectly reasonable. The best part, we ignore the penalty to our diplomacy checks for making such outlandish demands. And if we critically fail the request, instead of the target walking away with a negative opinion of us, we simply suffer a regular failure instead. No harm, no foul. At level 13, we'll pick up the Adaptive Adept feat, which allows us to choose a new first level spell from any spell list. For this, we're going to select Force Barrage, a perfect fit for our Radiant Volley ability. While it may not do much damage, it's 100% accurate, making it the perfect way to trigger weaknesses from Vindicator's Judgment. This ensures that our marked foes are hit with precision every single time. Additionally, our weapon proficiency is upgraded to Master with the Weapon Mastery feature, making us incredibly accurate, but with both magical and mundane attacks. At level 14, we'll pick up the Expert Sorcerer Spellcasting feat to further our spell progression. Right now, this gives us 2 more ranks of spells. Dispelling Globe lets us shut down all magic within a 10-foot burst around us, counteracting any magic that attempts to affect something within that area. This means that any spellcasters in that area are in for a rough time. That is, unless they have a host of martial training to fall back on. Next, we take Divine Immolation, unleashing Divine Wrath within a 20-foot burst. Just because we've marked a single target doesn't mean anyone else is safe from our judgment. We also pick up the Sow Rumor feat, letting us spread the word and ensure that the entire city knows exactly what we want them to. After all, in the world of politics, reputation is everything, and Mel's influence is just as powerful as her spells. At level 15, we gain the Fleet feat, granting us an additional 5 feet of movement with every action that we take. This can help us either close the distance to support our allies, or positions ourselves strategically to make enemies burn additional actions to reach us in melee. Level 15 Rangers also unlock Greater Weapon Specialization, which upgrades the extra damage we deal with weapon attacks from 3 to 4, making melee strikes even more devastating. Now, we gain Greater Natural Reflexes, boosting our reflex save proficiency to Legendary, as well as making all reflex saves that would have been critical failures now just failures. And on top of that, we have all damage taken from failed reflex saves. Now, Mel is practically untouchable when it comes to dodging traps or evading area effects. Finally, we unlock Perception Legend, increasing our perception proficiency to Master, allowing us to notice even the slightest details and anticipate the moves of our enemies. Whether it's noticing a subtle shift in someone's posture or catching the faintest of clues, Mel will always be one step ahead. At level 16, we gain the Mystic Beacon spell with the Advanced Domain feat. This spell enhances the next healing or damaging spell cast by the target, allowing it to function as if it were cast at one rank higher than it actually is. We also unlock Legendary Negotiation, making Mel the undisputed Queen of Diplomacy by letting us negotiate peace between Piltover and the city of Zon, provided Jinx doesn't blow up the council room at the last minute. But what are the odds of that happening? Additionally, we gain the rank 6 spell, Blessed Boundary, a powerful defensive tool that allows Mel to create a protective barrier and up to a 60-foot burst around her. This spell damages any creature that tries to cross the barrier and potentially pushes them back. It's the perfect way for Mel to control the flow of battle, keeping enemies at bay, and making sure that anyone that attempts to breach our defenses pays the price. At level 17, we'll pick up the Stubborn Persistence feat, allowing us to make a DC 17 flat check to negate the effect of anything that would leave us fatigued. However, if the fatigue comes from a persistent effect, such as the lack of sleep, the GM may allow you to push through the pain for a little while, but eventually you're going to have to face the consequences. Additionally, we unlock Masterful Hunter, which further enhances Mel's power and precision by increasing both our spell DC and class DC to massive proficiency, making us an even more dangerous and accurate threat. On top of that, it upgrades our status bonus to spell attack rolls against our hunted prey, putting her on par with legendary casters. With these new upgrades, Mel is now a near unstoppable force, able to outpace and outmaneuver even the most skilled enemies with both magical and physical combat. At level 18, we gain Basic Blood Potency, allowing us to take the Cantrip Expansion feat, netting us 2 additional divine cantrips of our choice. The first cantrip we'll choose is Divine Lance, which gives us an unlimited use ranged options for those times when we need to strike an opponent from the distance. If you didn't pick it up earlier, now's the perfect opportunity. The second cantrip is Light, because, when you use your magic, you glow. Additionally, we pick up the Half-Truth skill feat, allowing us to use our Deception skill to make a request or our Diplomacy skill to deceive a target. This feat is a testament to Mel's political mastery. She's able to weave selective truths into her conversations, twisting the narrative just enough to get exactly what she wants from others, whether it's manipulating allies or coercing enemies. At level 19, we'll pick up Medium Armor Mastery, which increases Mel's armor proficiency to Master. And with the Leverage Connections general feat, we can use our Society skill to make requests from those who have the power to pull a few strings for us. Mel has her fingers in many pies, but for those she doesn't have direct control over, she now knows someone who does. Finally, we pick up the Swift Prey feature, which allows us to change our hunted prey as a free action at the beginning of each turn. This makes Mel incredibly adaptable in combat, as she can focus her efforts on the most dangerous or vulnerable targets at any given moment. Whether an unexpected threat emerges or the tide of battle is just changing and you need to keep up, Mel can now swiftly adjust to make sure that she's always targeting the right person. And finally, at level 20, we pick up Master Sorcerer Spellcasting to top off our magical talents. Spell Riposte is a reaction spell that we can use to not just counteract incoming spells, but send them back at their target, a perfect stand-in for her rebuttal ability. And finally, what good is a sorcerer without a good nuke button? Divine Armageddon lets us bring down destruction on the battlefield, dealing both void and spirit damage to everything within a 60-foot burst. And to wrap up level 20, we'll get the Secret Speech skill feat, letting us communicate with all of our allies in code when we need to take a more conspiratorial tone. And that's a wrap on our build for Mel Medarda, the master manipulator and political powerhouse of the arcane world. From weaving divine spells to dominating the battlefield, Mel's mix of magical prowess and tactical genius makes her a truly formidable force in Pathfinder 2e. If you enjoyed this build and want to see more, be sure to like, subscribe, and hit the notification bell so that you never miss a new character guide. And let us know in the comments if there's any other characters you'd like to see built, or if you have any suggestions to tweak this one. Thanks for watching, and until next time, keep rolling high, and we'll catch you in the next one.